Following India's remarkable growth in the supply chain management and logistics sector, the 11th edition of the ET Now Supply Chain Management and Logistics Summit 2024 was recently held in the national capital. Industry leaders discussed the sector's post-COVID expansion, manpower management, and its role in boosting the nation's economy.
Put yourself in the shoe of running a large brand like DTDC and having seen DTDC 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. What made you think that the transformation is required?
I think businesses, at least post-COVID, are in a constant state of transformation. Transformation is no longer something that you one fine day wake up and decide that I want to do transformation. And I think there's a strong reason for that, because today transformation is needed for survival. Nice story comes to my mind in 2020 when the Covishield vaccine was being launched. We took on a small project and said, what can we as express players do to contribute to the nation in this time of need? And we didn't have a cold chain business at all. We didn't have a supply chain for it either. And yet, in the middle of COVID, when we had half of our management and leadership mostly operating from very remote places, we were able to create a solution to deliver a Covishield vaccine between hospitals using a normal, regular transportation supply chain. And I think at a more critical level, one of the reasons why transformation is needed is this industry always was known as a back-end industry, because the availability of manpower at the low costs used to be a given. I think that is dramatically changing. Labor is not going to be as cheaply available. I think quality is certainly improved, but its costs are also going to go up.
The sidelines of the summit also saw an interesting discussion with Abhishek Chakraborty, CEO of DTDC, which brought forth pointers on expansions, geopolitical challenges, integration of AI and tech eases supply chain management.
Welcome to ET Now Supply Chain Management and Logistics Summit. Today we have with us Abhishek Chakraborty, CEO of DTDC Express. Hi Abhishek.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Abhishek, there have been in the recent times a lot of disruptions in terms of geopolitical issues, technology. So what can logistics company do to make their supply chains more resilient to withstand these disruptions?
Yeah, I think ever since the COVID hit the whole world, I think the number of disruptions that have happened and the scale at which the disruptions have happened have certainly reached an altogether different level. And as supply chain companies, I think we've understood that the way we design our network, the way we design our operations itself needs to be fundamentally changed. The biggest interventions that we've brought in is on two sides. One, the use of digital technologies in order to map the entire supply chain that we have, to see what are the points and nodes where there are risks and failure possibilities, and then using that input to design our network, to design our operations has certainly helped us. A lot of effort and focus has also gone behind the training that we need to provide to our people. At the end of the day, logistics and supply chain business is always a very labor-intensive work. And if you don't invest on the quality of the people who are in the last mile or in the first mile, you will not be able to deliver the service, especially when the disruptions come in. So combination of this investment on people, their training, their knowledge levels, and the technologies that augment them and support them in providing a better service and better quality to consumers. I think that for us has been the key for building a more resilient DTDC that serves consumers in this extremely disruptive world that we find ourselves in.
How has the new technology in terms of AI, Gen AI, how has that shaped the logistics world in the recent times?
I think these technologies, which probably, even some of us were calling a science fiction till about a few years ago, have now really become mainstream. And to give you a pretty relevant example, last year we launched something called DIVA, which stands for DTDC's Interactive Virtual Assistant, which is a Gen AI driven layer on top of our customer interaction platform. Now, what we did was we exposed that out to our consumers who wanted to reach out to us for any of their queries or requirements. What we found is that with the launch of this virtual assistant, which is able to respond to consumers in a more intelligent manner and takes care of the concerns that sometimes might come with just people who might not be as trained, we found that there was about a 25% drop in the number of calls that were coming into our call centers. That meant not only that we were able to save on costs, but more importantly, the consumer experience we were able to give to the customers. And actually, when we spoke to those customers about their feedback, they said, even though we knew we were talking to a virtual assistant, we found the virtual assistant was more empathetic to our requirements. Their answers were faster, more crisp. So that's just one example of how Gen AI helps in. And
today, the consumer has become more demanding in a way, is more informed. So what are the top 3 things, if I were to ask you, that DTDC has done to make the customer experience more efficient?
I think, as I said, COVID was a watershed moment for us, and we suddenly realized that consumers want to use their services very differently. Being a company that has the largest physical network of more than 16,500 customer access points, which touches more than 96% of India's population, we knew that the physical part of our business was quite strong. But post-COVID, the digital demand that came from consumers and their desire to experience our services at the convenience of their fingertips using their mobile devices was a clear focus area for us. So what we did was we launched our My DTDC platform. This is right now India's most downloaded application for logistics services for individual consumers. And the way we have built in convenience into that is you can be an Indian sitting in any part of India, and you can use that app to ship out packages across the country and across the world from either the convenience of your home, or at your convenience you can choose the nearest possible drop-off point and hand over your package. The best part is all of this is completely digital. You don't need to print labels. In fact, you can choose to either pay money online, or you can walk into a store and pay money only when your package is being accepted by someone. Now, when you bring this kind of convenience, I think it changes the consumer's perception.
So what are some of the measures that you have taken to make your last mile delivery more efficient along with being more sustainable?
As I said, the intervention of technology and the knowledge and training that you provide to people both play a huge role. If I talk about the technology angle, the way we now use machine learning and various other algorithmic practices to ensure the kind of last mile network we've created is highly optimized. We ensure that the deliveries are not only more efficient, they're more time bound, and that means that there are lesser chances of errors that would happen. We built in technologies which use geolocation services to guarantee to a consumer that a rider has actually gone and delivered a package exactly where your house is. So these kind of efficiencies have certainly helped us improve our quality. But on the other hand, we know that there is a very large workforce that we have, and we know that workforce is also growing with time. So we've invested on technology to ensure the way we train them and teach them about our products and services is also enhanced. So for example, today we use a technology that uses AR and VR to actually train a new employee on how a good package delivery needs to happen. We almost simulate the environment that they're going to face according to the different products and services. And that means that when even a very new employee takes a package and tries to deliver on the first day, he doesn't feel like a newcomer. And similarly, the consumer completely feels like this is a very trained and very expertise person who's coming and giving me a last mile service.
Sustainability, technology and innovation coming together in the logistics world, and how it's going to shape in the next 5 years?
See, I think as supply chain players, it's a very deep understanding that we are a large contributor in a negative way at times to environmental sustainability. And gone are the days that we can say that it's just a fashionable thing to do. At DTDC, we believe being fundamentally sustainable is essential to our organization's long-term goals, and therefore we built in various mechanisms to build in those practices into our business. So just to give you a few examples, 3 of our largest hubs spread across the big metropolitan cities now have complete solar electrification set up in those hubs, which ensures that we do no longer consume electricity off the grid. We actually return electricity back after making that consumption. A lot of water conservation practices also have been incorporated in the way that we run our business. The most obvious way that we impact environmentally is through our delivery trucks, and a large part of our fleet now on a very rapid basis is getting upgraded into either electric vehicles or CNG vehicles, which means that either there is zero emission or low emission in the way that we handle things. The way we monitor our network and actually try to calculate how many kilograms of CO2 per parcel are going to be impacted, that changes the way our network design also starts to happen. And last but not least, even something as simple as packaging is now done using techniques and capabilities such as biodegradable material that we use to ensure that even the material that we use for packaging is completely recyclable and does not create a negative impact. These are just a few examples. I think there's a lot more to be done, but we're very clear that being fundamentally sustainable is who we are, and that's how we're going to present ourselves.
Going forward, what are some of the key trends that you see emerging in the supply chain and logistics world?
I think the first trend is clearly that the disruptions are going to come in different forms. Disruptions could be disruptions due to geopolitical issues like the ones that we see today. They could be due to various environmental safety and standards that might get regulated. And I think the biggest disruption is the consumer behavior itself is changing so rapidly. So the confluence of good governance practices, of having a clear picture on the sustainability that you want to build in your business, and of course a omnipresent use of technology. When all these three things come together, I think it's going to make a huge impact in the way we're going to present ourselves. I think the amount of data that is getting generated in our business right now, the insights are fantastic. And earlier we had to really rack our brains to come up with better solutions to address these opportunities or challenges. I think now the data and the machine learning capabilities are giving us far bigger insights, and hence a blending of great strategy, a proper vision, when married together with this fantastic data science, is really creating an organization that is ready to handle any challenges, and in fact ready to embrace these new disruptions, these new trends which are going to come. And I feel we want to be a thought leader, and we believe that it's not just us, along with our competition as well. We believe there's a lot of collaborative work that we are doing and will continue to do to ensure we keep pushing the envelope in this direction.
Abhishek, when we talk about AI and ML, we are focused more on the opportunities, but then there are some inherent challenges that come along with it. So what is DTDC doing to not just address those, anticipate, but also when it happens to actually mitigate it?
See, I think the greatest risks that we carry are ultimately on security of, again, the data. Because being a fundamental company that serves such a large consumer base, we handle nearly about 200 million packages a year. So you can imagine how many consumer transactions, how many consumer data points we carry with us. Thus, we are also at the receiving end of some of the greatest threats and risks, which also means that when we build our AI capabilities, machine learning capabilities, security is the first thing that we need to take care of. I think the good part is the very same technology which poses the threat also has the abilities to thwart those threats as well. So while we are using AI and machine learning to build some of our best products, even most of our security practices and protocols are also using AI and machine learning to constantly prevent those threats from attacking us. The way we screen data, the way we keep the data in our systems, the way we create access filters and restrictions on who gets to work with that data. I think the good part here is the question also has the answer hidden in it, but it's also about the pragmatism that brands have and businesses have. I think security is no longer something you can take it as an afterthought. You got to lead with it, and you've got to be responsible that you are dealing with your consumers' data, and which has significant impact on their personal and professional lives. So if you take that onus and ownership at the start and build your business around it, I'm sure the threats that AI or ML can pose can also be countered effectively.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. My pleasure as well. Thank you.
The summit also saw a panel discussion on boosting investment and innovations in the sector.
Considering the goal of having a more efficient and sustainable supply chain, how has your company been looking at some of the investments in the technology front, and what do you think has been more impactful in terms of bang for the buck, as you say?
When we look at the innovations, or when we look at the digital transformation which is happening in supply chain logistics, so the technology has been a great enabler in terms of not just automating the end-to-end processes within transportation, like capturing the orders, doing planning, optimization, getting real-time visibility, doing a freight settlement, and also expanded beyond just the transportation layer, going into the warehousing, automating the entire warehousing, making sure that the inventory visibility is there, making sure that the right items are being stored at the right location, the productivity improvement is there, picking up the right item and making the perfect delivery to the customers, so that all your end objectives of minimizing cost, increasing efficiency across your entire supply chain, and making sure that all your processes are being adhered to the sustainability norms. So everything is being taken care by the technology which is being provided by some of the best providers like Oracle. We have really helped not just the customers in US, but a lot of customers in India, that we have make them achieve all those operational efficiencies, cost reductions, their sustainability norm. You heard about Unilever, Hindustan Unilever,
as a great case where they have been able to do a lot of saving in terms of miles traveled. 29 million kind of kilometers was the statistics that we just heard earlier.
Shailesh Singla, country head and VP, Oracle, has shared his insights on making India the third largest economy by 2027.
Actually, I would say it's the best time to be in India. Okay, so from all parameters, whether it's India GDP, it has been growing at 7% consistently for the last 3 years, and a very positive perspective for the next few years as well. And India is expected to be number 3 economy by 2027. So exciting times to be in India. And if you look at the political system as well, so fairly stable government for 2 consecutive times, and third time it's back. The geopolitical reasons, tilting towards India, and global companies also shifting their base to India, like Apple, Samsung, Kia, Boeing. They're all shifting their manufacturing hub to India. So practically, it's a fabulous time to be in India and be part of the supply chain fraternity. If E stands for environmental factors, like if you look at the carbon footprint, if you look at the greenhouse effect emission, or whether it's a waste production or water usage. So regulators are pretty stringent on how companies are regulating all these things so that they're adhering to the guidelines, okay, which basically helps every individual, every citizen of country. If you go to the social aspect as well, the equal opportunity, for diversity candidates, if you look at the fair wages, if you look at the human rights, if you look at community service, philanthropy work. So everything is very important, and regulators are ensuring that every corporate is taking care of these individual aspects. Third is the governance side, right? Fair financial reporting is must. Okay, it's not like you can carry away with anything. So with any practices like small retail houses, so governance is is very important. So the regulators are basically focusing on all these 3 areas. As Oracle, we always stress on integrated supply chain. Whether it's a customer or a manufacturer, distributor, retailer, or warehouse manufacturer or aggregator, customers, everything has to be connected on a single platform. And that is what we tell the customers, to bring that all together so that you can leverage the latest technologies like AI or machine learning or IoT. If you want to get a benefit out of all of this innovative stuff, you need to get them all together. And that's where the supply chain platform is going to change, and this will give you a lot of value.
As the summit progressed, an invigorating fireside chat with Sachin Jain, CFO and CSO of Procmart, brought forth the role of technology in shaping the entire sector and pushing towards greener solutions.
What are those transformative technologies that you see which are catching your imagination at this point in time?
Supply chain, one needs to be very agile. Today, agility is important. If we have to be cost competitive, we have to be staying relevant. And what does agility means basically? In supply chain, agility is that we should be responsive to our customer needs, market fluctuations, and be cost efficient. How I look at it is that technology is a big enabler to agility in supply chain. And why I say so is because today the evolving technologies, the advanced technologies which are there, they're actually shaking up the entire supply chain world today. Daily we have new evolution on the technology side, such as generative AI, blockchain, data analytics, automation. So all these things are making this smart supply chain become the new order of today's society. So one who is embracing the technology, these new technologies, will be able to be more agile and be more efficient in the whole scheme of things, which is today a lot of competition which is there.
Abhishek Chaturvedi, the Vice President of Godrej Corba, shared his insights on India's growth in supply chain and logistics sector.
When we talk about the supply chain today, there are a lot of dynamics which are flowing around. I would not like to go through each of the elements of this, but the bottom line is that India is on the move. And we just heard some statistics about India being among the top 3 economies by 2030 and being the most developed economy by 2047. So this is all the milestones which we have on the way. So what are the complexities that we have? They are all listed, but one of the core complexities, if I may talk about, is the awareness of intra-logistics. Now, there has been an evolution in the supply chain space in India. I mean, all of us can relate to this when we talk about godowns in the erstwhile old times, and we were talking like, हमारे पास जगह की कोई कमी नहीं है, so we will place the material the way we want to. But today, as you go deeper into the supply chain costing, these are the elements that become so much more important for you to focus on. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
The summit also saw an interesting panel discussion on the impact of collaborations and compliance on the delivery side of the logistics sector.
How are the changes and what are the things that you're seeing and what are the things that you as a company are doing to give a superior customer experience despite all these disruptions and changes happening on the ground?
We have created a 5C approach plan. If you design your supply chain on this 5C in the way which I am just narrating, I am committing you that it will not be, if not it is foolproof, it is definitely shockproof. So the first C is about collaboration. It is a simple Indian jugaad. First button tikna chahiye. If that is in place, the whole shirt goes in place. The second is the compliances. This is beyond rules and regulations which we are talking, which anyway we need to do it. This is about internal and external discipline in terms of storage, transit, when the cargo is anywhere around the world. The third is about the control. So here again, the use of technology is the emphasis, where out of screen, out of mind. So we give 100% visibility. The fourth is about commitment. So here as company, we have always been focusing and emphasizing on planning. The stronger your planning is, the better you deliver.
We are into global door-to-door logistics and we have been facing disruptions for last 10 years now. It moved from technology to geopolitical and pandemic. So we are now ready to face any disruptions and build resilience into the system. So what we suggest and advise to our clients is to follow a simple steps of SIP. So the S stands for scenario build-up and solutions readiness. I stands for inventory management. And the last letter is about P. Here we emphasize a lot on planning.
And the sidelines of the summit, Rahul Yadav, CEO and founder of Axtrack Software Solutions, shared his insights on the impact of effective manpower management in the supply chain industry.
So supply chain and logistics is a very manpower intensive industry. And this manpower which is involved in supply chain and logistic operations can further be divided into various stakeholders, ranging from driver, consignor, consignee, fleet operator and transporter. It is highly important to get this stakeholder communication or collaboration on a real-time basis, which the industry has not been able to crack till yet. And this is a main challenge, as once it is done, it will solve a variety of problems.
Vineet Sureka, the director of Carryfast Logistics Private Limited, spoke about the importance of resilience, sustainability and profitability that plays a crucial role in the sector.
If we talk about in the modern logistics, the resilience, sustainability and profitability, both three are like a vital part of the supply chain industry. And if we talk about sustainability, we talk about like environmental, social and regulatory compliances. And in resilience is like how well you handle the vulnerabilities and the disruptions which are associated with your supply chain networks, and profitability being the core of like every business we drive. So all three are linked together. So if you have a resilient and a sustainable supply chain network, which will drive to the profitability in the long-term objectives.
The 11th edition of the ET Now Supply Chain Management and Logistics Summit 2024 saw some high-voltage discussions and conversations which focused on the challenges and brought forth initiatives that are shaping the country's economy. Though the curtains have come down for this year, the search for excellence continues.